Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to go ahead and practice finding area and perimeter of two-dimensional shapes. So let's begin. Before we start, make sure you have your formula sheet handy because you're going to need it to write down all the formulas. So for every single problem, when we go and do it, we always want to make sure we write down the formula first. So here we have a rectangle, and our formula of a rectangle for area is area equals just the length times the width. Now, if you look at this, the length and the width is right here. That's our length. This is our width. And all we're going to do is multiply them together. 5 times 2.5. And if we type 5 times 2.5 into our calculators, we get 12.5. Now, it's important every time you solve a problem with area, you need to make sure you label it correctly. When it's an area problem, we got to say centimeters, or we're going to say centimeters squared. And what that means is that means there's 12 and a half little centimeter long squares like that inside of it. Next, we'll do the perimeter. If you remember, perimeter is just the length around the outside. So all we're going to do anytime we do perimeter, often you'll see formulas, and there is a formula for this, but I think it's a lot easier if you just go ahead and you realize, well, if this side's 5, that side's 5. If this is 2.5, then this is 2.5. And if you just go around the outside adding up all the numbers. So I'm just going to do 5 plus 5 for those two sides, and then I'm going to do 2.5 plus 2.5. And if you add those together, you end up with 15. And for this, we'll just say centimeters. All right, let's go ahead and look at our next one. When we go ahead and look at our next one, we have a parallelogram. So find your parallelogram, find the picture that looks like this. And this formula is just area equals the base times the height. And if you're ever unsure of which one's the base, which one's the height, if you look at your formula sheet, there's a picture, and they're going to show you. So this picture shows me that this base is 9, and the height is 2.3. So we'll go ahead. We'll use our calculators to multiply that together. 9 times 2.3. And we get 20.7. And make sure we say meters squared because they're square meters. Next, we're going to do the same thing as before. To find the perimeter, we just want to add up all the outsides. So if this side's 9, we know that the opposite side is 9. If this side over here is 3, we know that's 3. So we'll go up around and we'll add up all the sides. 9 plus 9, 3 plus 3. 9 plus 9 is 18. 18 plus 3 plus 3, that would get me 24. And we want to make sure we label it 24 meters. All right, next, down here we have a trapezoid. So let's go ahead and look at our trapezoid. So a trapezoid has a little bit of a different type of formula. The formula is A equals 1/2 times the height. And then it says B1 plus B2. So B1 and B2 are these two bases. This 5 and this 8 are B1 and B2. We'll call 5 B1 and we'll call 8 B2. So we'll say 5 plus 8. And now we'll use our order of operations to solve it. Oops, I should have wrote B1 plus B2 here. So let me go back and do that. B1 plus B2. All right, now we can go plug them in. I apologize. So this will be 1/2. Our height is 4. And then if I look, we have 5 plus 8, and we could go solve. So I'm going to do 5 plus 8 first. If you do 5 plus 8, you get 13. So I'll have 1/2 times 4 times 13. And if I multiply all those together, I end up with 26 inches squared. Next, we'll have to go ahead and find the perimeter. Now, to find the perimeter, once again, we're just adding up all the sides. So if this side right here is 5, we know this opposite side is 5. And we'll add up 5, 5, 5, and 8. So 3 5s and 8. I know 3 5s makes 15, so then it's 15 plus 8. And that would end up getting us, if I type that in my calculator, 23. We would say 23 inches. Now we can move on to our next one. Next, we have a triangle. So let's go ahead and we'll look at our triangle. So when we look at a triangle, the formula for a triangle for area is 1/2 base height. So A equals 1/2 base height. And if I look at this, the base is the bottom. So the base is 8. The height is how tall it is from top to bottom. That would be 3. So we're going to say 1/2 times 8 times 3. If I multiply them together, half of 8 is 4. So then you have 4 times 3. And 4 times 3 is 12. So we'll have 12 feet squared. Next, it comes time to do our perimeter. And once again, perimeter, we're just adding up the outside. So the outside, there's only 3 sides. There's a 5, and an 8. So we'll say 5 plus 5 plus 8. We're just adding up all the outsides. 5 plus 5 plus 8 gives me 18. And we'll say 18 feet. All right. So now we come down to the real star of the show, the circle. So circles still have areas because areas are just the inside. And when we look at our formula sheet, it's pi r squared. A will equal pi r squared. So before we do this problem, we need to talk about a few things. Well, pi is a number that goes on forever. And if you use the button on the calculator will use the version that goes on forever. And on the SOL, they don't want us to use that version. They want us just to round it and say 3.14. So anytime you see pi, take it out, and we're going to write 3.14 instead. And then we have to say times r squared. So we have to look at our circle. And what they gave me, this line all the way across, is called a diameter. If a line goes all the way across, it's a diameter. The radius is a line that just goes halfway across. Or otherwise, it's a line that goes from the very center to the outside. So if all the way across is 7, that means halfway across, the radius is 3.5 feet. So we're going to say pi, or 3.14, times the radius, which is 3.5, and then we got the square. So using our order of operations, we have to do 3.5 squared first. And that would give us 12.25. So we'll have 3.14 times 12.25. We'll multiply them together. And I'm going to get a number which we will end up rounding. I got 38.465. Let's round that to the nearest hundredth, which will be 38.47. And we want to make sure we say feet squared. All right. Finally, before we get to the word problems, we now need to find the perimeter of the circle. However, when you do a circle, they don't call the perimeter a perimeter. They call it the circumference. A circumference is the distance around the outside of a circle. So it's kind of like if you do if you circumnavigate the globe, you went around the world, you went around the globe. If you go around the circumference of a circle, you go all the way around the outside. But really, that's just a fancy name for perimeter. Now, there's 2 formulas on the formula sheet for a circumference. All right, there's 2 of them. The first one is 2 pi r. The other one, I'm going to write or, is pi times the diameter. So really, there's 2 things you could do, depending on if you get a radius or diameter at the very beginning of the problem. Just because it's less step, let's try pi diameter instead of 2 pi r, because there's less steps, less things to multiply. So I always think that's easier. So we'll go set it up. Instead of pi, we'll say 3.14. And then we're going to multiply it by the diameter, which is just 7. And if I do 7 times 3.14, you get 21.98, and we'll say feet. Perfect. Let's go ahead and look at a couple word problems. And these word problems are really how you kind of use shapes in everyday life. And often it's when you're purchasing something, you're buying something. So when we read this, We're first going to draw a diagram, and then we really need to think about what they're asking us to find. Do they want the area or the perimeter? So it says Kyle's dining room is 7 meters wide and 7 meters long. So if something has a length and a width, that means it's a rectangle, or in this case, a square. And remember, a square is a type of rectangle. Squares just are special rectangles where every side's the same. So here I have 7 meter wide, 7 meter long dining room table. And they want to install a wooden trim around the outside. So if you're doing something on the outside, that's the perimeter. So we're going to have to find the perimeter of this. Once we find the perimeter, every meter is going to be $18. So we're going to have to go and pay for the wood we're going to use to build the trim. So here's my picture. Let's go ahead and add the other sides. If this is a square, every side is 7. So if I add this together, 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7. You also could have done 7 times 4. You get 28. So it's going to be 28 meters. But we're not finished yet because we have to pay for that wood. So we're going to do that 28, and we're going to multiply it by the $18. And then we'll have our final and total price. 28 times 18. Whoops, let me clear my calculator. 28 times 18 is 504. So it's going to end up costing us to put that wooden trim around the table $504.00. All right, so let's go look at the next one. This was a perimeter problem. Let's go ahead and look at our next one. This one says Jeanette wants to build a rectangular deck. So they already told us it's a rectangle in her backyard. She wants to be 6 meters wide and 12 meters long. So we'll call that 6. We'll call that 12. I'll put my little N's. The wood costs $15 per meter. How much will it cost? So if you're building the deck, you have to build all of it, the inside. That means they're finding the area. So we just have to do the length times the width, 6 times 12, which if you do that, we're going to get 72. So this deck is going to be 72 meters squared. But we're not finished yet. We have to go ahead and pay for the wood. So we're going to do 72 times 15. And that will give us our final answer, 72 times 15. And this will be $1,080. So make sure you get that down, and we'll go look at the farmer's goat pen. So it says a farmer needs to build a goat pen. He wants to build a circle. So as soon as they tell me I'm building a circle, I draw a circle. Okay? With a radius of 5 feet. So remember, a radius is if you put like a point right in the middle, it's how far it is from the middle to anywhere on the outside. And that's going to be 5 feet. So if he wants to build a pen, right, you don't have to build the grass, or you don't have to build anything inside of it. You're just building the outside wooden walls, right? If you're going to build a fence, you're just building the outside walls. That means they want the circumference of this. So let's use the formula for circumference that includes the radius, since there's a radius there. So let's use the one that says 2 pi r. And we're going to use that one over pi times diameter because we have a radius, we don't have a diameter. So if we did that, we'll write out our formula. 2 times 3.14 times 5. If we multiply this all together, we're going to get 31.4 feet squared. Not squared, just 31.4 feet, sorry. But we're not done. We got to pay for the wood. So we'll go ahead and multiply 3 times 31.4. If you type that into your calculator, you get $94.20. And that will be our final answer, and that's how much it's going to cost us. All right, we have 2 more problems. We're going to go down to our next page, and we'll be finished. All right, so this one, it says a teacher has a bulletin board built in the shape of a trapezoid. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to draw a trapezoid. Now, excuse my trapezoid. I always find those are one of the hardest shapes to draw. But it says the trapezoid bulletin board is 4 feet high. So that's big. So that tells me from the very top to the bottom, of the trapezoid right there, my blue line, is 4 feet. So I know it's 4 feet tall. Okay? It says one base is 3, and it says the other base is 5. So the smaller one's 3, the other one's 5 feet. And now I have all the information we need to solve the problem. We also know that it's going to cost us 30 cents per square foot. So if they're going to make this out of construction paper, they don't only want the outside, they want the inside as well. So we have to use our formula for area. So the formula for area, if you remember, I'm going to write up top here so I have more room, is 1/2 height times B1 plus B2. So if I go plug it in, it's going to be 1/2 times 4 times 3 plus 5. Well, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3 plus 5 makes 8. So we'll have 1/2 times 4 times 8. And if I go multiply those together, we're going to get 16. So it's going to be 16 feet squared in total is what we need. But we have to go buy this material. So let's do 16 times 30 cents, and we'll get our final answer. So 16 times 0.3 or 30 cents, that means it's going to cost us $4.80 to build our little bulletin board. All right, final problem. And we are back at our favorite, the circles. And this one says a principal wants to build a circular auditorium. So let's draw a circle. The diameter of the auditorium is 100 feet. Remember, the diameter is the line that goes all the way across. The carpet is $12 per square foot. So at the very end, we'll have to multiply by 12. How much will they spend? So let's go ahead and do this. Now, if you're going to do the carpet, you always have the carpet the inside. So that would be area. So we have to find the area, which remember, that would be pi r squared. So we're going to do 3.14 times. Now, if the diameter is 100, halfway across, the radius means it's 50. So times 50, because that's the radius, squared. So first, using our order of operations, we're going to square 50. 50 times 50. I get 2,500. So you have to do 3.14 times 2,500. All right, we'll multiply those together. 7,850. So we're going to have to take that number, 7,850, and we're going to multiply that by $12. And we'll get our final answer. And this will be one expensive auditorium carpet. It's going to cost us $94,200. So think about next time you're in the auditorium. Look down on the carpet. Now you know how much it will cost. All right. So thank you for watching the notes. Please talk to me if you have any questions. I hope everyone has a great day.